Okay, so as mentioned in the beginning, the topic that I will be speaking about today is using the applied technology to enable active learning environment. And we started a new era of online learning after the COVID. Of course, online learning is existing before the COVID, but after the COVID, we have started to look at it in a different way. The agenda for today, I will be having some introduction and representing some data. I will speak about the active learning domains, applied technology, learning engagement, and then all of this will be fall into some of the modes of learning. So for the introduction, first of all, before I start representing the data, just will highlight and emphasize 4 key drivers that I will be speaking about throughout the presentation. So these are the active learning domains, the applied technology, the learner engagement, and all of these 3 drivers is forming a huge framework that I will be representing it later. And this all can be implemented and fall into the mode of learning or in different modes of learning. Technologies likely to be adopted by 2025. This is a survey report from the World Economic Forum that has been done in 2020. They mentioned some data about the expected use of technology by 2025. The 2025 is represented by the blue bars. The vertical lines is where they did the survey in 2018. And the beige color or the cream color is the difference and where they are going. So as you notice here in front of you in this survey, you will find that the cybersecurity is having a huge development. It's followed by the cloud computing, and there is also in the artificial intelligence, in the 3D and 4D printing. So you will find that there are a lot of technologies that has been developed and is developing very fast in the coming years. They also presented the top 20 job roles that are coming in the 2025. They said that there are some increasing demands in jobs and some decreasing demands in jobs. And if you notice the increasing demands, it's all about the use of technology again. So the technology here is playing a very important role. And now the jobs is not targeting a specific specialization. We can say that it targets an interdisciplinary specialization, like, for example, technology with the business, technology with the marketing, media marketing or media communication. So technology have been integrated in many fields, and it's going to be used later on and developed more and more. They also mentioned the perceived skills and the skills groups with growing demands by 2025. And they said that there are some of the skills that will be increasing, and it has like a more focus in the coming years, like the critical thinking and analysis, the technology use and development, the problem solving, self-management, and so on and so forth from these skills. They said that there are top skills for 2025, and they put them in this order. The first one was for the analytical thinking and innovation. It's followed by the active learning and learning strategies, which will be focus of our presentation today. And then there's a complex problem solving, critical thinking and analysis, creativity, till we go till the 15th skill, and they are going in too many details every time. So here, if they focus on the complex problem solving in the beginning, they come later, and then they focus on the reasoning of the problem solving and the ideation. Then out of the sudden, we woke up in the morning, we read the news, and we have lockdown coming in, and everyone has been in isolation. All the schools, the universities, even the jobs around the world has been locked down. One of the reports have mentioned that the crisis that happened after the COVID-19 is 8 times the crisis that happened in 2008. So here we have to handle this situation, and we have to find solutions in order to move on and to get our students educated. So in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, the world had to shift to the emergence remote teaching. and I'm not going to say online teaching or learning, I will say it emergence remote teaching, because there is a difference between them. Online teaching and learning, it's like we have a pre-planned learning syllabus or curriculum, and we know how to handle it in the online settings. But the emergence remote teaching, we are doing a shift or a fast shift from the current situation to make it to online. So definitely there will be many gaps occurring, and there will be some challenges that we will be facing. So here, all the universities, all the schools, either the nurseries have locked down and they changed or they transferred to be all remotely and online. Even the jobs around the world also has been done remotely. So the challenges that has been faced in the last 1.5 years, everyone felt that they are living in isolation. They don't have people to interact with. They were very overwhelmed. Either they are teachers, instructors, or even students. They were very overwhelmed. Teachers and instructors overwhelmed by the amount of planning and everything that they have to put in writing to make sure that it is delivered by students. And students as well felt that they are overwhelmed by the amount of tasks, projects, and emails to contact their instructors or their teachers. Communication became very difficult. They cannot reach their teachers in the same time. They have to wait for a time till they receive their messages or emails and then respond to them. There is a time management issue that has been raised with the students especially. And they missed the social interaction. They missed the side talks, the collaboration that is done physically inside the classroom, even the side talks with their teachers and with their instructors that will usually develop a rapport or a very positive and good rapport between the instructors and the students. So here are many questions have been raised in some of the researches that has been published from that time. Will we have the same jobs after 10 or 20 years? What competencies are needed for the demands of the new jobs that do not yet exist? What will learning look like after COVID-19? And how can teaching and learning presence be promoted in online learning? How can students' cognitive, social, and emotional skills be developed? And how can students' engagement in online learning be enhanced? A lot of researchers have coming up. Some of them, they did it like an exploratory studies, others like mixed methods. But again, there are a lot of gaps, a lot of challenges that need to be tackled again and again. So here we'll focus again on the key drivers. Just to remind you, we have the active learning domains, applied technology, learner engagements, and I believe that the three of them are related to each other and they cannot be separated. And all of these can be implemented in a different modes of learning. So I'm going to separate the modes of learning away, and I'm going to combine the three drivers and put them in this framework. We have the learning domains, which are the three main learning domains: the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. I usually love the model of head, heart, and hand. It was presented by this way from Orr in 1994. He called it the head, heart, and hand model, to make it easy for teachers to understand it and start to design the curriculum and plan it effectively. And this was surrounded by the applied technology elements that form the critical thinking, learning to learn, personalization of learning, creation and innovation, communication, teamwork, and even much more than this. And this all surrounded by the learner engagement that focus on the cognitive, social, emotional, and behavior engagement. This framework can be well used in designing and planning the curriculum or the syllabus, whatever the mode of learning is. It could be online, could be blended, could be face-to-face. So let's take it part by part. So first of all, we will focus on the active learning domains. As I told you, it is the head, heart, and hand model. So here the cognitive is focusing mainly on the thoughts, the thinking, the reflective thinking, the critical thinking, and I will highlight that John Dewey, before the father of critical thinking, called it reflective thinking, and then they come up and develop the model to be critical thinking. The affective domain is focusing mainly on the emotions, the feeling, the motivation, and the interaction of students within each other. And the psychomotor is responsible about the actions, the doing, the creation, the innovation, the invention of new things. So the active learning is usually presented in this pyramid. If we lecture the students, they will remember only 5% or retain only 5% from the knowledge. If they read the information, they will retain 10%. Till we go down, if they start practicing, they will retain 75%. If there's a blended learning approach and they taught others, so they will be probably retaining 90% of the knowledge, and they will be active learners. So here we have to shift our mind about the way how we will be delivering these contents to the student. So here students need to be users information instead of being receivers of information. They have to know how to use the information, how to solve the problem, how to plan for it, instead of sitting on their back and then just listening to the information that they hear and start to look at the facts and memorize them as they are, without any linkage to the real world. So this is the part that was responsible about the learning domains, and I will call it the active learning domains. Now I'm going to focus on the second circle, which is the applied technology. In applied technology, I will focus on these skills. So first of all, what is applied technology? Applied technology is defined as different sorts of technology used in order to complete various activities. So the role of technology here is designed to know about how people learn and is closely integrated with the teacher and the student interactions in the classroom, either it's virtually or face-to-face. So it supports reflection in a combination of visual and verbal modes. It represents abstract of knowledge in a concrete form. It share and combine their developing understandings and benefit from the power of collaborative learning. Allow learners to articulate their developing knowledge in a visual and verbal way, and manipulate and revise their developing knowledge via the user interface in a complex process of design. So here are the elements of learning: the teamwork, communication and the creation, personalization of learning, real-world engagement, and the critical thinking. So let's focus on each of them just to go through it quickly. This is, by the way, is based on the Apple Education Elements of Learning Apple book in 2018. So here the teamwork is to create and edit content together, refine each other's contributions, exchange information and ideas together, keep track of project timelines, and save materials anywhere and anytime. For the communication and creation, teachers usually help students engage in expressive activities by allowing them to choose their communication tools, the one that they feel comfortable with. They encourage students to design for a specific audience, increases the rigor of the task. Personalization of learning. This is one of the important aspects of using the technology. It enables students to pursue unique paths, create products to meet their learning needs, and we don't have the same learning needs, investigate and apply what they have learned, create opportunities for deeper, more meaningful learning. And for the real-world engagement, these all should be integrated or should be related to the real world, either by applying a problem-solving, problem-based learning, project-based learning, case-based learning, or scenario-based learning. All of these will bring the real life to the learning and try them to connect between what they have learned and apply it in the real life. The critical thinking, they start by doing some analysis, interpretation, generate some solutions for the problems they have, synthesizing, and then evaluating their work. I like this chart that represents the critical thinking. So if you look down here, you will find that this is the familiar context, and up here, the unfamiliar context. While here is the familiar problem, and on the right, unfamiliar problem. So if the student is having a familiar problem with a familiar context, that means that they are focusing on the facts. They are just memorizing what they have and mastering the basics of the knowledge. If they have unfamiliar problem in a familiar context, they will be starting to go through some cognitive level in analyzing and interpretation. If they have familiar problem in unfamiliar context, that means that they start here to go through the transformation process where they transfer what they have learned and apply it in a new situation. If they have the unfamiliar or ill-structured problem in an unfamiliar context, so here we reached the creativity. Here we focus on the innovation and new way of solving the problems and new ideas. So here we have done with the second circle, which is applied technology elements. And I believe that the learning domains or the active learning domains is the way how can we choose our syllabus or create it. And the applied learning technology or applied technology elements, how we use the instructional activities to develop those skills for students. And now we are going to focus on the third circle, which is the learner engagements. The learner engagements, as I told you, there are three: the affective, the cognitive, and the behavior engagement. So for the affective engagement, there are here some ideas to enhance students' affective engagement in online learning, which is learning students' names, getting to know students personally, sharing their personal stories, expressing your passion for the subject with them. So all of these like and ideas to enhance their affective engagement in online learning. This is based on Borg and Graham in 2020. And then encouraging students is another way of their affective engagement. The cognitive engagement, and I will present it by the head as well. So here are some ideas: provide opportunity scaffolding that it is at the learning level, use effective media or teaching resources, ask good questions that lead to curiosity, and more probing follow-up questions to enhance their discussions. Expect them to contribute their thinking to discussions, and this can be done through having discussion boards or blocks where they can start communicating in a discussion together. Just want, if anyone is not muted, if you kindly just mute to have more focus. Thank you.
Okay, Areej, we have at least 7 co-hosts and hosts. We will do that.
I'm almost done.
Sorry for interrupting.
Okay, no problem.
By the way, Areej, it is my mistake. I did not talk about the allotted time for each speaker. It is 15 minutes, and I kindly ask you to finish in 3 minutes. Is it okay?
Sure. Yes, of course. I'm almost done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So for the behavioral engagement, and this is the last part, which is the ideas you may have shared, like noticing when students miss class and follow up with them, announcement and reminders about the due dates, like to have a weekly updating email or announcements, reaching out to help students who did not submit their assignments. So just to have it a quick, this is the framework that I presented, and it can be done in different past. So here are the modes of learning and the difference between them. And here is another visual one to present the different modes of learning. And I believe most of you know the difference between them. So to conclude, so here are some recommendations that we need to do. Focus on enhancing pre-service and in-service teachers' technological, pedagogical content knowledge, as it was noticed that higher teachers' IT literacy is higher students' engagement. More research in the development of students' digital competency need to be done, and enhancing active learning environment through using the applied technology as well. Thank you so much. So I